Oh, y'all miss me? Oh my God, nobody said yes. Incredible. Love that. Guys, well, you've heard enough from me today. So earlier we were talking about an enforcer. I'm about to bring to the stage this gentleman right here. He has the most fights in NHL history with a number of 333, a record that will never be broken. I believe the toughest guy to ever lace up the skates. Y'all give a warm welcome for Ty Domi!
How you doing? Hi. Whoa. Nice to be back in New York. So nice to be back in New York. Thanks for Mike Rubin, FanFest. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to introduce to you three great Rangers. Unfortunately, one got stuck at the airport. DeAndre Miller got stuck at the airport, unfortunately. I'm very sorry. But we'll start with the king, Henrik Lundqvist.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. The king. Another great guy, another great goalie, ex-teammate of mine, Stanley Cup champion, Mike Richter. And I gotta say, I kind of know the feeling this guy had when he started his NHL career. And he's a little bigger than me, but he's one of my favorites, Matt Rempe. Let's size this guy. Wow. Yeah. This is very cool to be here with these guys. First of all, I want to say thanks, guys, for coming out. Henrik's here from Sweden. He's going back tonight, so. Mike Richter's an ex-teammate, amazing guy. And Matt Rempe, you're the talk of the town, kid. So, first of all, I want to say, how's the summer going, Henrik?
Summer's been great.
Yeah.
I spend every year back in Sweden for a couple months, and then in August you start to miss the city so much. So it's nice to be back. I landed yesterday, and it's just I love the energy, being back, seeing people, and
nothing like Ranger fans, right?
No, the city itself. It's just awesome to be back every year.
Awesome. Ricky, how about yourself? What you doing with yourself now?
Awesome. I'm up in Connecticut. By the way, has anybody ever been to Sweden in the summer? It is craziness. The sun doesn't really set, and look at him, he's all tan. They know how to do summer. My wife's from Minneapolis, is the same thing, man. That summer comes and they go crazy. So yeah, I'm sure you look relaxed. It's pretty good. But we're up in Connecticut, so we're a little bit boring. But it's been awesome.
That's awesome, Ricky. So, Matt, you're from Calgary, and I understand you spent most of the summer in New York. That's awesome. So, tell these fans they want to hear what you're doing.
Yeah, I went home to Calgary for a month, stayed with the family, with my mom, and it was great to be home for a little bit. But then I came back out to Connecticut a month ago and been living with Jonathan Quick and his family. They're been really, they've been unbelievable. Taking me under, him and Kreider have taken me under their wings, and been training with them out in Connecticut at Apprentice and working out. So it's been going really well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this kid really changed the team, didn't he? I even saw Hank on the broadcast. Hank was the game he was ready to fight, you were sitting there like this.
Oh, we saw it coming.
That's great. So I want to ask you, Hank, and Ricky, this is for both of you. I'll start with you, Hank. What's with the Rangers? Why they always have the best goalies? What's in the water? What's the story?
I don't know. I mean, Benoit. Ricky didn't work with Benoit, but I had the pleasure working with Benoit there for 15 years. Obviously, that helped me a ton. He became a great mentor and a friend, and it guided me throughout my career, really. But in terms of picking goalies, Ricky, I mean, good scouting, I guess.
Good scouting, yeah. And I think, look, it lends itself the position a little bit to, you're in New York, and Hank, you've always said this, it's an amazing place to play. It doesn't fit for everybody, but if it does, and I don't know anybody better than you or Mess kind of embracing that, and really you, everybody up on stage, you want to go to that stadium and hear people be behind you. They have a high standard. They let you know when you mess up, but they're always there when you win, and it's an amazing place to play. So I think it kind of
brings the best out of you.
Yeah, it makes people bubble up. I just, one question that I was thinking with Rempe here, training with Quickie, where do you see Quickie beat the crap out of people this year? It's going to be awesome.
We've been sparring. He wants
Toughest
it.
goalie in the league, yeah?
So, Matt, your first game, I watched it, and I've been in those shoes. Obviously a lot smaller than you, but first outdoor game with the Rangers in 1991. You remember that, Ricky? We played Wayne Gretzky and LA Kings. Outdoor game at Caesar's Palace. It was the first outdoor game ever. And I was like Matt. I was just dying to fight. I was going to Marty McSorley. I was begging everybody to fight. They're like, get away. Anyway, I got a breakaway and I fell on a grasshopper. But I wanted to ask you, Matt, how was that feeling, that first game? And you got to fight Matt Martin, which, was incredible. But that feeling, that feeling that day, did you sleep a wink that day?
I was lucky. The game's at 3, so no pregame nap. I just got to go right into the game because I probably would not have slept at all. But it was really exciting. It's pretty cool. First NHL game at MetLife Stadium. We're lining up on the blue line. The Jets are flying overhead. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? It was so cool. And like you said, it's pretty cool. Matt Martin, he asked me to go, and I think he gave me my start there, so I owe a lot to him. That was a really good thing for him to do, I feel, and he helped me out, and I think it was a great fight, and it was cool. I feel like we got out of the way as well, right away, so you're not thinking about it the whole game, and it was just such a cool day.
There was no looking back after that.
No looking back.
Yeah. Well, and hey, listen, you can play and you can skate, and I watch you. So unfortunately, you're so big, so it looks like you're hitting guys with your elbow, but you're just so big. So just be a little careful. But you're going to have a great career, and
thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I called a few teammates of, I'm not Dan Rather or Al Tradwick interviewing these guys. This is player to player, so I was able to call some ex-players, and a guy I played with, Matt Sundin, who played with Hank in Sweden. Yeah. They won the Olympic gold together, so I called him today, and I said, give me something on Henrik I can say. He says, well, was it 02?
02, probably.
In 02? 02, he came to our national team, and he was the best dressed guy then, with a scarf and everything. And then all of a sudden, he gets a net, and the guy was just stopping everything. It was incredible. And then he said, Ty, I'm telling you, we would have never won the Olympic gold if it wasn't for him. So, tell the fans that feeling, Hank, of winning the gold and what it meant to Sweden and how it is when you go back. People still talk about that. They'll talk about that forever. You beat Canada and U.S.
Yeah, well, it was obviously a dream come true to play in the Olympics. That was my first year. I moved to New York when I was 23, and the same year I get to play in the Olympics with a lot of players that I looked up to. Matt's was obviously one of them. He was such a great leader, and to be in the locker room, and this is something that every player at this level experience. You walk into a locker room and suddenly you get to play with your idols. when you're 20, 21, it means that you're sitting in the locker room with guys that are 13, 14, 15 years older. Forsberg, Lidstrom, Alfredson, Sundin. These were guys, when I was 10 years old, I was watching these guys, and suddenly you sit in a locker room and you look around, it's like, man, I'm playing for my country here for Olympic gold. It's such a cool experience, and the same thing happens here when you enter the league. You know, you look around, you face them in games, but also that opportunity to sit in the locker room and get to know them, and that experience is just so
That's amazing.
cool.
Yeah, he said with 30 seconds left, you made a save on Jokinen, and he said you would have never won if you. Was that the shooter? Was it Jokinen that you made the save with? 30 seconds?
I think he.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
He said you would have never won. Like if they scored, it was over. And then Lidstrom scored the goal from the point, right? The winning goal.
Yeah. No, obviously to win Olympic gold, it's something you'll never forget, and it's extremely proud
Forever.
in that moment.
Yeah.
And I always say that it's such a unique feeling to stand on the blue line and see the flag go up, listen to the national anthem, that the pride you feel in that moment, because you feel like, we did it as a team, but you did it for your country as well. It's
well, Swedish gold medalist, folks. Swedish gold medalist. He's the reason. Now let's go to Mike Richter. Ricky, I talked to Chris Chelios today. He said you guys wouldn't have won the World Cup if it wasn't for you, which was a huge compliment come from Chris Chelios. But everybody wants to know, when you won the Stanley Cup, what did you do with it? I know Glenn Healy and Nick Kyprios left it at the Irish bar McSorley's and they lost it.
You know, funny enough, I mean, that's 30 years ago, and they did not have any real, no NHL official followed you around with it. It was just like, hey, Ty, it's yours. See ya. And crazy stuff happened. And I mean, it's got a history of that, right? Famously, Mary Lemieux had it in the pool and it floated, or it sank to the bottom and they couldn't get it out. And, you know, you're not always, and you do great things with it. You take it to, children's hospitals and whatnot, and you say, hey, look, this has got this great history. But, late at night, some of the best decisions aren't always made. And there's a great story. Leachy and Kipper had the cup, and they're in a little bar on the Upper West Side. And, it could be a Thursday night, and there's 5 people in there, and within 15 minutes, there's 150 people in there, and it's, it's going to be a 5-hour party. And they're having a great time. They turn around, and the cup's gone. And they're like, oh, my God, where is it? And actually, I think Gibby had taken it to a different bar, but never told him. And these guys are both going, oh, my God, I lost the Stanley Cup. But, they started to recognize that it's probably a wise thing to have security with it at all times. And then, if that guy could write a book, the things you see, and they have it so wired now where it's like, all right, Matt, you're going to take it for these 24 hours, and you could be in Calgary and then fly back here to wherever you're living here, and that guy will go with you, and, you'll just hand it off. For me at the time, you're living, when you're in the playoffs, as we all know, you live like a monk, man. You are going to work, and you're, scraping it off if you lost, or you're enjoying it for 5 minutes if you win, and you're preparing for the next night. And you're doing that for 2.5 months. We played 23 games that year. And then one day you win. And all of a sudden it's like, you don't sleep for a week, you're out, you're a David Letterman and all kinds of crap. So by the time I got the cup, I was just like, oh, get that thing away from me, man. I need some sleep. And it was really funny because it was going to be this quiet night, and I showed some people my building. And I went down to a woman who used to serve us lunch, just a good friend. She's actually from Dublin. And it turned into a bachelorette party that night. And it was like, that was going to be our night off. And an Irish bachelorette party, it was a long night. Anyway, nothing but fun, though. And honest to God, I think one visual that really speaks to what we did with it was the way Mesk, when he took it over to the fans on the side, because it's everybody participate in it. It's kind of like a people's trophy. And it's cool to see New Yorkers go nuts. That's our trophy. You're representing this city, and everybody shares it. And that's why it's cool to take it out. That's a real big thing.
Awesome, Ricky. That's special. Stanley Cup champion. So Matt, before I get to you, the comparisons in 1994 and 2024. Rangers obviously won the Stanley Cup. They won the President's Trophy. O.J. Simpson was in the news in 1994. O.J. Simpson died in 2024. There was an eclipse in 1994. There was an eclipse in 2024. Rangers won the Stanley Cup, won the President's Trophy. Rangers this year, 2024, won the President's Cup. Matt, what the hell happened?
Couldn't get it done.
I don't want to put that on you, Matt. I was going to put that on DeAndre, but he's not here. So, but I want to ask you, like, that feeling, like, you lived it and you got to play, and I was proud of you. You really got to, you played and you contributed, and you can actually skate and play.
Thank you.
Yeah. When I was 21 years old, Ricky can tell you, I was playing with Ricky here in New York. I didn't have too much discipline. My first family I lived with, they put me as far away from the city as possible, past Greenwich. And after the first week, it was a long driveway. And, the kids were coming out for school, going out to the yellow bus at 7 a.m. And I was coming from the city, from the China Club, with a yellow taxi with two girls in mini skirts and high heels. So they kicked me out of that house the first week. But Matt, what are you doing now? Like, where are you living? Who are you living with? You living with Quickie for the year?
I don't know yet. Like, I'm gonna live with him the rest of the summer, and we'll see. I want to have a real good camp. I want to go in and earn everything. Like, I think I've improved a lot this summer. I want to show that, and I want to showcase that, and I'm working on my skills and everything. But just want to have a good camp. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Don't make the mistakes I made, okay? I actually asked to be traded by the Rangers. I was so stupid. And then they won the Cup the following year. That wasn't the brightest thing I've ever done in my career. But my career, actually, I got to play more. I was only playing against the Islanders, Devils, and Philly. That's the only games I played. The rest of the games I was in the stands watching, so I asked to be traded.
But Ty, Hank, I think you said this first, and I heard Mess say this on the air about Matt, and clearly both you guys are tough people, and that's a really hard job to do. You talk about not sleeping and whatnot. You think about it. It's cool when you win, but that's a tough way to make $1. But especially now, you have to be able to play, and you could play. I remember the first time you skated. You could skate like the wind. His son's like that, just tough as nails. And when you have a player that isn't afraid to drop the gloves, but actually knows how to play the game, it's a devastating combination, and it really makes our job easier because you get space and everything else, and you don't sleep on somebody like Matt that, he can punch you in the head, but he can also play the game, and he plays it hard, and talking about how he wants to improve, it's exactly what you want in an organization, and that makes everybody better. It reminds me of Adam Graves when he came to the Rangers. He didn't score a goal, and that's scary to say, but he didn't score a goal in his first 2 months here. But everybody loved him because he worked and he tried to get better, and that's the key. And especially nowadays, you just can't go out there and chuck out your stick. Everybody skates, everybody can play. You watch a zillion games a year, and this guy has a good sense for the game. So it's a really important component.
Ricky. Awesome point. And listen,
thank you, sir.
The job he does, being 6'8.5", but regardless. If there's anybody in this room that knows how it feels, it's me. And day of a game, it's not easy. And you might have to, somebody hits one of these guys or one of the best players, or you're down 2-3 goals, you got to go start something. That's how it was. That's the only way I knew. And that's what he has to do now. So, Matt, maybe you could tell people what it's like on game day for you to prepare yourself, and because it is on your mind, correct?
You always know you're playing next. Like, you always know who's coming up in the schedule, and no matter what, you got to be ready because, like you said, anytime anything can happen, you got a job to do. And but yeah, like it's on your mind. Like if you know you got to fight the next day, like that night, you're probably not sleeping great. You probably, I don't know. It's hard, but I feel like it's also cool. I feel like you don't have those emotions anywhere else in life, and I think that it's kind of a not like addicting feeling, but it's like a really cool feeling. It's like, okay, yeah, like I got to go battle this guy. I got to go do that. Like I get in that mindset. Like, okay, yeah, like let's go. And so then game goes on, and you're just waiting for that. You're waiting for that. You're itching. You're okay. I got to do this. And so yeah, I think it wears on your mind a little bit. But I feel like also like before the fight, the emotions you don't feel anything like that. After the fight, it's like if you win, like you're on the moon. Like it's unbelievable. Like if you lose, you feel, oh my God, you're devastated. So I feel it's like a game inside the game, and you always got to be ready. And you like you said, like you're down in the game, you got to start something. Something happens, like you can't take a night off or something's going to happen.
You want my suggestion on something though?
Yeah.
If you think guys are getting a little out of hand, I would suggest you just skate by the bench and stare at every single guy.
I like that.
You won't have to fight much, trust me. Because I'm not your size, and I did that all the time, and I calmed the waters down real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
There's not much fighting anymore, so just keep focused on playing. You can skate, and you're going to have a great career, like I told you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, Hank, I'm curious, but I know everybody else probably is. I know your brother, your twin brother?
Yep,
Twin brother
brother.
was drafted. How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's back in Sweden.
He's back in Sweden. Yeah, he looks like you.
He looks like me.
And it's summer in Sweden.
Yeah, he retired last year.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that transition. When you retire, you walk away from the sport and finding something else to do. It's you gotta let it take some time, obviously, and be curious and also lower the expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
When we trained and played, you set a certain standard, I guess, but now you walk into something that's very new and just be very open to what's next. But he's doing great.
And just stick with you for a sec. I was always curious because I followed you and admired your career and everything. But when you ended, it was with your health and your heart. You're okay? Everything's good now. You look great and healthy. And
yeah, life is great. I've been dealing.
That was a tough part of your life.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking. Obviously, the way it ended, and the surgery itself did not end my career. It was the inflammation around my heart that ended my career, and that's something I still deal with 3 years later. And it's called pericarditis, and it's just you learn to live with it, and obviously in a situation like that, you refocus a little bit. You appreciate a lot of things in life, and I was just extremely happy actually after my surgery, and enjoyed so many things in my life that maybe I took for granted a little bit before.
Well, in New York, everybody calls you the king, and people always talk about you. So, and all we really have is our health, and probably everybody in this room has dealt with health issues in their family and everything, and you're this guy that everybody sees, and all of a sudden you have this health issue. So it's great. You're doing great, and you look great, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and this is kind of an interesting thing because when I started my career here in New York, you fans were chanting my name, Domi, and that was the best memory of my whole career at the Garden. And then Ricky, fans were Richter, so I used to say that to Ricky in the locker room. And then Henrik, and then Rempe. So all of us have that in common up here, having that Garden and you fans chanting our name. And that was 1993 for me, but that's still the most fond memory I had at that Garden. So every time I drive by there, my daughter Avery's here, I say to Avery every time we drive by there, yeah, they used to chant my name in the biggest thing. But that's so long ago. But Henrik, I'm going to ask all three, like that feeling, just tell people what that really is like, and that memory, now that you're retired like me, you can just explain that feeling, the electricity in that building. It's the biggest stage in the world, so.
Yeah, I think you feel that when you walk in, the pressure of performing, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself. But when you do well, obviously you feel very excited. But to feel that support from the crowd in that moment, in a crucial moment of the game, big save or a win, or I mean, that's what you work for. It's like you obviously, it's hard to describe. I mean, maybe Ricky, you're good with words. Maybe you can put words on this one. But
as goalies, like, chant your name, the chill's going down your spine.
Yeah,
me, I can go beat the shit out of somebody. You guys, you still got to stop the puck. The game's on the line, right? So. Well,
I can tell you this: it never gets old, never. Like to feel appreciated that way, and when you put in the work and you feel like you're playing a big part in a big moment in the game. It never gets old. It's you guys
Ricky?
can.
I think it's what Matt said. You have a game within a game, as you know, right? You might be winning 5-0, but you have a standard for yourself, and you're still going to get a win if it's 5-2 or 3 or 4. But you want to keep the shutout, or you want to keep it to 1, or you want to save, Jokinen in the last shot. In this case, you had to, but I'm saying just you have your own pride. You get up every day and you try to be as good as you can. And you know that career, generally speaking, is going to end, and you make the most of it. You squeeze the most out of it, because one day it is over, whether by health or by just old age. And so when you're trying to fulfill that potential and you're doing all your work, and you were an amazing athlete in terms of how you approach the game, the Rangers, New York's a crazy place. They have a high standard for everything, but real sports fans. And I remember signing here, and people were giving quotes about what my save percentage was in college, my sophomore year. I'm like, I didn't know that, So they know, and when they chant your name or they let you know when you don't do well, like, there is a standard that comes with wearing this jersey that I'm not sure is matched. And you could talk to that because you played in Toronto. I can't imagine there's more pressure than anywhere else there. But representing your country and having a major role in a team, you have a standard for yourself. And when the team plays well, you still have a different standard. And when they signal you out for that, it's a really cool thing, and it doesn't ever get old. But I think that idea of a game within a game is exactly what's going on there. And I think it's,
Well, these two are the best that you ever had in net. These two for sure. So, and Matt. So here's the difference for you and I. I can actually help you out a little bit, right?
About 3 feet.
They used to chant my name, and I would just get out there thinking they want me to fight, so I used to just go looking for somebody, right? I figured out it's because they love you, so don't think you got to fight every time they chant your name. But I don't know if a lot of you remember the Probert fights. That was probably my big staple, what I did here at the Garden. But the second fight, the place is buzzing and front page news and everything, and Probert and I were supposed to have a rematch, and we had a meeting with the commissioner the night before, and the commissioner said, if you guys fight, I'm going to suspend you 20 games, going to fine you, da-da-da-da. So I'm a young guy, and Probert didn't say a word. He's sitting there, and I was like, oh, man. So next game, first shift, 23 seconds left, get the tap, lining up, and Proby says, let's go, Ty. I'm like, what? I said, do you remember our meeting last night? I said, let's wait till the second or third. He's like, let's go, Ty, let's go. Get it over, let's go. I'm like, Proby, no, I do not want to be suspended for 20 games. So puck's dropped, he's got his gloves off, and literally he threw 10, 15 punches before I even got my gloves off. And then the fans started chanting Domi, and it got me going. But Matt, that feeling at the Garden, there's nothing like it, right?
Oh, nothing like it. It makes me want to rip my heart on my chest, run through a wall. It's incredible. Like, it's unreal. Like, it's nothing like it. Like,
let's hear it. Rempe, 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 Rempe. That's how you see it.
It's unreal.
Hey, easy time. I'm about to get punched.
I remember it was 8 games in, and I had a forecheck and gotta get hit, and I was skating off the ice, and suddenly like they started chanting. That was the first time. I was like, what is going on? I was like, I had no idea what was going on. It was the coolest thing. I remember just like, I stood up on the bench like that. Actually, it's kind of weird, but like it was unreal. I don't know what they do. It was the coolest thing.
Well, when I scored my first goal at the Garden, all my teammates were saying, you got to ride your stick. You got to ride your stick. So I had a goal, assist, and 2 fights, and I was like feeling really good about myself. And Mess calls me in the trainer's room. And he said, and after my fights, I was doing this, and Mess calls me in the trainer's room, and Mess says, okay, enough of that shit. He says, you gotta stop doing that stuff. You're not gonna get respect from your peers. So I actually stopped, showing up the guys that I was fighting. And I think that was something that really hit hard with me for the rest of my career, that the respect that you have with guys that you fight, you really gotta show that respect. And Mark Messier is the one to change my career, to that point. And after it's like someone shot my dog. I'm in the shower. I get out of the shower. I'm getting dressed, and Mess says, "Hey Ty, let's go. We're going." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, we're gonna go to a bar." So I'm like, "Okay." So that's the kind of leader that Mark Messier was, and he changed my career. I hope those little words help you. Just remember, you're 6'8" too, so just show the respect, and you have a long career with a lot of respect, and you're the biggest stage in New York. You know what I'm saying? So,
thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hank, what do you got to say to your fans? That you're going back to Sweden tonight. You'll be back on MSG and TNT.
Yeah, I'm leaving for the airport in a couple hours. But
Pretty impressive. He came here to see you guys.
No, it's just, as a player, it's one feeling to walk into Madison Square Garden, and now you walk in there as a fan of the game, a fan of the team, and it's just a lot of joy. I mean, a lot of times now I go there, I work MSG Networks, but also go there to watch games, and I see the fans a little differently. When I played, I was very focused. I could hear that, but I didn't really pay attention. Now I see the joy that the Rangers bring to so many people, and I love being part of that. Now in a couple months, start the season. I'm excited for the team. You guys have
you're really good at it, and you look great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. No, but
Mike and Jeff, we're like Mike and Jeff.
It's a great place to be when you guys play well. It's so fun to be there and be part of it as a fan now, not as a player. But do I miss playing? Yeah, but as a fan, it's a great thing as well now.
I think that's a really important point, because all of us, you start out as fans. You're a little kid, and oh wow, you want to do that. Next time, you're playing with Mark or whoever you were idolizing as a kid, and then you play, and exactly what you say, Hank. Right? You're focused on getting your job done. You hear the fans, but it's a different experience. And then it's funny, you revert back to being a fan. I just go to the Garden now and enjoy it. And this team, I thought it was the most center. I couldn't believe just watching 82 games as the season progressed last year. And the last few years as they've been building to just being an elite club, I think it's the most entertaining team in the league. I love watching them, and obviously there's a buzz. There always is in New York, but that's an exceptionally good team. And, it takes a long, hard road to get there, but they're building it all right, and it's just so much fun watching it. But just to sit back and have that talent on the ice, Shesterkin and Panarin and this guy, that's a treat. And then we're lucky to have that good of a team to be supporting.
So Ricky, I don't know if you folks know what Mike Richter does now, but he is actually legitimately saving the planet. But Ricky, can you please tell your fans what you're doing in the green space so they actually understand? Because when we played together, he was actually always the academic. He went to college. He was always reading on the road. I never opened a book in my life. Ricky's always reading.
I wasn't reading. I just had a book in my lap, guy. No, it's funny because, Hank, you say that. Nobody's prepared to retire. We grow up as fans. You keep playing. Everybody in the audience plays sports and whatnot, and you keep playing because you love it. Like, I remember Brian Leach being asked once, like, hey, did you know you're going to play in the pros? He's like, I had no idea. In the year he was drafted, he was just like, I like playing. I kept playing. And we're privileged to be able to play this sport, but as you get older, man, that's who you become. That's your identity, and that's what you love, and that's what you're good at, right? As you said, there's 700 odd players in the league, in the world, that can play at that level. And so it's a unique thing. And then one day, either a doctor tells you, that happened in my case too, it's over. And you're like, oh wow. And that takes a long time to process. And in the beginning, as you say, you think about all you lost, and then you start getting a little gratitude and go, wow, man, I was really lucky. We all played with great players that never had a chance for a variety of reasons. My point is that when you get done, it's easy to be lost. And so for me, I went back to school. I had young kids at the time. The timing was kind of interesting because I could, very focused as a player, and now it's like, time to be a family man and then go back and start a career in something else. And as much as, I love being around the game, it was almost painful because it's like you can't play anymore and you can't contribute at the same level. And I'd always had an interest in the environment. So I have an energy company, if you will. We do commercial buildings, everything from lighting to solar to geothermal, and just making buildings run better. And so, I've been interested in that, and it's cool to have a team and try to figure out, what's your strength, what's their strength, where are we weak as a group. It's about 120 now. We're based in Armonk, and oddly, we're based in Armonk, and we're based in Brooklyn, and we have an office in Sweden, in Stockholm of all places, where they have real cutting-edge technology and a lot of green technologies. And Hank's actually helped me in a lot of ways, just because that's where some of the really important technologies coming out of. So we have 2 PhDs there that are just freaking brilliant. And so they're doing that. We're going to bring it here and do it. So yeah,
awesome.
it keeps me
He's doing
busy.
a lot of green things for the planet. And by the way, Armonk, you said? So do you remember the Marriott there?
We're right down the street from the Armonk Ramada.
So when that family kicked me out of their house, the Rangers moved me there.
Ty was homeless most of his career. Nobody wanted him.
You guys all know Adam Graves, right? Well, they put me with Adam Graves for the rest of my years here, because he is Adam, yeah. And he actually married my cousin Violet, and I would never let my sister or my cousin go out with a hockey player, but Adam Graves is just different. So I'm the godfather to his kid and everything. Matt, now that we're at FanFest, and I've just opened some hockey cards and baseball cards and stuff, Topps cards in the green room, I'm curious, who is your favorite hockey card, and which one do you remember most?
Calgary guy, Jerome McGinley. That's growing up. He was the man in Calgary.
That's awesome.
I loved him. Tough as nails, skilled, everything.
He was one of my favorite in my era. He was one of my favorite players. Yeah, that's an awesome pick. Ricky, how about you? Who's your favorite hockey card, and what memory do you have?
I grew up in Philadelphia, so they were winning the Cups when I was a little kid in the early 70s, and Bernie Perrant, Hall of Fame goalie, was so cool, French-Canadian guy, 2 Stanley Cups, shutouts both times. The guy could play, and he was amazing to watch. So as a young kid, but I do remember going down to a playoff game in Philadelphia and watching them play Edmonton Oilers. It was when Esa Tikkanen in his first year, and I was 17 or 18 in high school, and I'm watching Mark Messier, and the official was about to drop the puck and pulled it out and kicked Mark out of the face-off, and I watched him tear this man to shreds, and I just was like, oh my God, that is the toughest human being I've ever seen. And 5 years later, he's a teammate, just like you were saying, we grow up with these idols, and then you get a chance to be in the same room with them, Hank. And that was amazing because, I was a fan looking at this guy who was, winning his 4th Stanley Cup at that point, and then he ended up playing with him. So as a forward, Mark, I just think he encapsulated so much about being a professional, being tough, but playing the game.
That's awesome. And Hank, who's your favorite card, and which card?
Well, I remember started collecting cards. I was probably 6, 7 years old.
Saw me.
So, but I have to say, when I got Wayne Gretzky, the first card of Wayne, I was like, got it. That was good.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though I at that point, I wasn't sure if I was going to be a goalie. So I have to say, my first card that really meant something was Wayne, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, mine was Bobby Clark, and I knocked out my 2 front teeth and my handlebars to look like him. My parents wanted to kill me. And Mess was, and I told Mess when he became a teammate. And the best story about Mess I have is we won the President's Trophy in 1992, his first year. And we were having a team party, and Roger Nielsen's our coach. He's up there speaking. Neil Smith's the GM, and Mess comes over to Gravy and Leachy and Tony Monte and Doug Waite. He had a girlfriend at the time, so he didn't join us. But Mess is like, Gravy, Ty, Tony, Dougie, Leachy, let's go. And we're like, we haven't ate yet. He's like, let's go. And he had a limo waiting outside, and we all got in the limo. He's like, we're not celebrating losing. We're not celebrating losing. Well, sure enough, they won a couple years later when I asked to be traded. But Mark Messier was the ultimate leader. Ricky, you agree with that? He was special.
No, I mean, he had the ability to, I think, take people under his wing. When he retired, I was in a little Learn to Skate program. Mess and I were the coach and just helped little kids. I mean, these are kids that were just learning how to play. And, for as tough as he is and for all he's been through and all the great stories, he's a teacher. He's okay. He takes kids under his wings and say, when you're back checking like that, make sure you turn around and look who's coming behind you. Just little things. My middle guy, his name's Jim. Glasses, dorky, kind of likes sports, kind of doesn't. He back checked once in a little championship game. Mark's like, Jim Richter. He's like, oh, that's the way you hustle. And, you just see, he's like, am I catching shit here? Oh. And a big smile comes across his face. Mark's like that, and Mark's dad was like that, Dougie.
Yeah.
And, to have young guys in the team and whatnot, there's just so much you can constantly learn. And I think having that stability in the locker room, and then when you get to be that age, start to pay that, back because you received it too, is a really big deal to kind of get organizations to run in a really good way. And Mark came in right from the get-go for the Montes, for the Ty Domis, for the Adam Graves. He was a teacher.
Yeah, he was. Well, honestly, like I told you at the start, I'm not Dan Rather or Al Tradwick. But when they asked me to do this, I was very honored to be here with these 3 guys. Unfortunately, DeAndre wasn't here, but thank you all for being here, Hendrik, Mike, and Matt. That was awesome. And you sure made my job really easy.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.